Okay, so to answer the fourth question, I've contacted Dr. Amanda Bell, who was the lead author of the paper that you're reading and discussing today, and who was also part of the research team that did the analysis that I shared in the recorded lecture. So Amanda became part of this research out of interest that arose from her role as a clinical educator and also her years as chair of student affairs. So this was a question that was catalyzed by her professional role and that we worked on together. And so I'll read the question so that folks know what we're going to talk about, and then I'll let Amanda take over and share the results of her research. So the question was, the lecture alluded to how medical learners may have dealt with mistreatment, but I was wondering if there were any specific ways, like journaling, that learners dealt with these instances.
So thank you, Meredith, for asking me to participate today. I really love the overlap of roles, but I think I'm going to try and separate them a little bit here. So I'm going to answer this question first as a researcher with the information that we obtained through our research. And then I'm going to answer the question in a bit more hypothetical way as a leader in the program. I'm currently the Regional Assistant Dean at the Niagara campus and have a vested interest in seeing that students who are experiencing mistreatment receive the support they need. I also have an understanding of what program support looks like. So I'll give you those from the two different perspectives. So the first is sort of grounded in our data. So what did students say they did when they experienced mistreatment? And we did hear a variety of responses. We heard about people that they reached out to more than anything else. Quite often that person was somebody that they loved, trusted, or cared about. So a family member or a partner or somebody at home. Sometimes they reached out to somebody within their environment. So they may have reached out to colleagues, peers, upper year students, residents, preceptors. Usually that was somebody that they trusted and felt safe in talking to. And sometimes in reaching out, they were seeking just to normalize the experience. This is what happened to me. Has it happened to you? What should I make of this? Sometimes they were actually what we called testing the waters, which was trying to get a bit more information about, is this something that might be mistreatment? Should I do something more about it? And that's usually when they reached out to residents or sometimes preceptors and floated the scenario by. This happened to me. What do you think? And then often used that response to gauge whether they should do anything more formal. We didn't hear a lot about solo or individual activities like journaling or exercise or talking to a therapist or anything like that. We really didn't hear that. The individual response that we heard was often, I just put my head down and pushed through. I didn't talk to anybody, but I didn't plan to talk to anybody. I just knew that I had to hunker down and get on with things. So, you know, there's some helpful strategies there. And it was also concerning that some of the things we heard people were using as coping strategies either weren't very helpful or supportive to them, or the feedback that they got when they reached out to people that they trusted didn't always encourage them to seek more support or to report the mistreatment or to try and get some help to improve the distress they were experiencing. Sometimes in reaching out, they actually got shut down and were told that's just how it is, and you should just put your head down and push through. So the strategies they had were what they felt were accessible and available to them at the time, and sometimes made them feel better, and sometimes actually left them still wondering about what had gone on or what they should do, and sometimes discouraged them from doing anything further. Would you say that's fair, Meredith, in terms of the research data?
Yeah, I think that's a good description of what the data said. And I do remember a few instances where folks talked about reaching out to someone who was more senior than them to do this sort of testing the water process, and receiving the answer that, yeah, that, you know, that's unfortunate, that's really unpleasant, and it's what a negative experience, but that's just how it is around here, and you just have to tolerate it. And often that response would have the effect of sort of silencing them, of making them feel like they couldn't reach out any farther, or that it wouldn't be advisable to talk about this with anybody else. And as an outsider to medicine, those responses really concerned me, because it left me thinking that this person had this really negative experience, and now they feel like maybe a little bit invalidated in their emotions around that, and also feel like there's nowhere to go for help, or that there wouldn't that it wouldn't be received well if they were to talk with other people about how this had impacted them. So the other thing that I wanted to put in this video was a bit of an explanation about the resources that are available if, as you move into your clinical work or in any other circumstances, you encounter mistreatment or abuse as a learner at McMaster.
Yeah. So I think that's where my leadership hat probably comes on. And, it's important to me that you as learners understand that there are people in place whose specific job it is to be available to you for support through a variety of experiences within the program, including negative experiences in the program. I also really recognize that just because these people are in place doesn't mean there aren't barriers personally or systemically to accessing them, and doesn't mean that it's necessarily easy to reach out. So I think I would start from a leader point of view in saying, if you experience something negative within the program at any level and in any circumstance, we first of all want you to be safe. We want you to be physically and emotionally safe, and want you to remove yourself from any situation where you are imminently at risk. And we want you to know that there are resources in place to help you. Talking to someone, talking to anyone, particularly somebody that you trust, whether that is somebody in your own life or somebody in the program, is going to likely be something that will help you with the challenges that you face, not just the negative experiences, but all the challenges that you face in medical learning. If there's something particular to the program that has happened, there are student affairs directors in place at every campus. So that would be Wendy Proctor at Niagara, and Kathleen Nolan at Waterloo, and Christina Grant in Hamilton. They are MD program faculty who are specifically tasked with supporting students through challenges of any kind in the program. And they have a duty of confidentiality, with very few exceptions, to the students, meaning they don't report back to the program what's going on. They are really present for you to support you through whatever the challenge is. So I would highly recommend reaching out to the student affairs director at your campus, or at one of the other campuses, to be honest, if you have challenges with your own campus, really to bring up the difficult situation that you're in. They're going to be able to help you understand what your options are, what other supports are available for you, how you can best navigate that situation, how we can ensure you stay safe, you stay well, and you continue progressing through the program. In addition to student affairs, there are many other leaders within the undergraduate medical program that want to hear about difficult or negative experiences, with the view to wanting to fix them, wanting to address them, wanting to improve them. And that would include any of the clerkship directors, any of the regional education leads, any of the members of administration. So the chair of clerkship, the chair of pre-clerkship, the regional assistants deans, the associate dean. I mean, we all want to see the program function as best possible. We also recognize that there are power differentials, that there are barriers to bringing things forward to a lot of people in leadership. And it's easy for me to say, I want to hear this and I'm accessible and I'm open to hear. I also understand practically that may not be how you experience things. So I would encourage you to reach out if you've had a negative experience. And if you don't feel that you're getting the attention or energy that it deserves, to find somebody else. Particularly if you're being shut down in what you're asking, you still have that sense of what happened was wrong, and that you really need more support, or you need more action to happen on that. We hope that the first person you approach is going to be somebody that is really supportive and welcoming to you, and is able to work with you to find the right resolution, or to find the person who helps you get resolution. But if that's not the case, I want you to know there are a lot of like-minded people in the program that want to see you be successful and be supported, but also we really want to change the problems that are there and try and upset the culture. If there is a negative culture, or if there is a culture where this is acceptable behavior. And just the fact that we have this large study going on, that we've had so many different branches of it, I mean, it really speaks not only to the fact that it's an important issue, but that there are a lot of people who want to work towards change. And I think, Meredith, you would probably have experienced that in working with different leaders from different parts of the program, that there is a lot of energy and enthusiasm towards addressing problems when they occur.
Yeah, for sure. I also have noticed that the physician collaborators in this research have all moved on to really significant leadership positions since they started this research. So that's been encouraging to me, that I know that there's folks who really care about this issue and who really care about the student experience, serving as our regional assistant dean, serving now as our vice dean of education. And I hope that students who experience this feel comfortable reaching out, because the leadership, it's not just rhetoric. They really do care about your experience.
So we're going to post actually the flyer that we designed, that we used as part of our study. So at the end of interviews, this is the resource that was provided to students. It was campus specific, so you notice this is the Hamilton resource, but we have similar resources for Niagara and for Waterloo. They're slightly outdated just in the name. A couple of the names of people in student affairs have changed, but certainly if you want to access this resource or one specific to a different campus, I know Meredith would be happy to send those along. And this is how we, as researchers, tried to be responsible and ethical about recognizing the material that we were bringing up. Could be triggering, could be challenging, could be difficult for people, and wanted to make sure that our participants were well supported. You should also know we made sure that at any point in time we were conducting interviews, we had somebody from Student Affairs available for phone consultation immediately if needed. So we really took seriously the risk that we were asking students to go through by talking about potentially upsetting situations. We were fortunate that, as far as I'm aware, we didn't have anyone need to reach out to Student Affairs immediately, but I don't know if perhaps being involved in this research led some people to remember things or view things in a different way than they had in the moment. And potentially this did bring up some difficult ideas for people. So please don't hesitate to reach out, and your safety is number one. And beyond that, our ability to better shape the program so that the learner experience is positive, and so that mistreatment becomes a smaller and smaller issue, you know, that really is a priority, and what we hope would be one of the outcomes of doing this research.
Great. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.